is senior political correspondent at the Daily Express, Christian Cowgie. I've got businessman and activist Adam Brooks, and also, as well, I, of course, have author and journalist Rebecca Reid. Christian Cowgie, Lindsay Hoyle, got to go?
It's up to MPs, frankly. It's do they have confidence in him or not? And it might sound an obvious thing. I would say also the SNP as a party not supporting him is very significant, right? Because they're the third largest party, and if their leader isn't supporting Lindsay Hoyle, then that's more significant than a large number of Tory backbenchers. Yeah, exactly. So we will have to see whether this fizzles out tomorrow or whether it continues ramping up. But it's certainly not the last of it.
Burko went after 22 people.
No, it was Michael Martin who was the Speaker during the expenses scandal in 2009, and 22 MPs signed an EDM against him, and he quit the next day.
There we go. Right. OK, thank you. I stand corrected on that. Adam, have we given it a mob rule here?
Yes, I believe so. To me, it looks like Labour. It's my opinion that Labour have bullied him into this decision. Keir Starmer has been let off an embarrassing rebellion from his own party, which would have torn Labour apart. I think the Speaker has embarrassed the UK Parliament. He has made a mistake. He has apologised. But I believe so much damage has been done to Parliament and to our democracy. He has to go. It's worrying. It's worrying. The state of UK politics at the moment is dire. The
reason I'm just checking my phone is I have just had a message from a Tory MP, who I will not name, who said that he's basically teeing off as we speak now on Keir Starmer and in particular Lindsay Hoyle, piling political pressure on Lindsay Hoyle, raising pointless points of order. He's just absolutely incensed about what's happening here. I mean, I'm sorry, Rebecca, but is this not just an insight into what a Labour government might look like? Caving into mob rule, piling pressure on a Labour speaker, potentially, although it's been denied, threatening to defrock him at the next election if he doesn't give in to this. Meanwhile, we don't have a ceasefire at all, do we? We don't have anything that looks like a ceasefire. People are still dying.
I don't think it has any real predictive value about what a Labour government would look like. I do think it is a very sad indictment of how much infighting and personal politics and people's own reputations have become the thing that they care about. And I looked at that room full of people with comfortable houses and comfortable lives, all acting like something terrible happened to them, or they're supposed to be there talking about children dying. And I just thought, you're all silly, and I hate all of you today.
I mean, that's strong. I agree with you. I agree with you because I think, any semblance that vote anyway, and it was kind of People's Front of Judea territory, wasn't it, really? Because the Tories wanted some form of ceasefire, the SNP wanted a slightly different form of ceasefire, and then Labour felt like they had to come up with a different ceasefire in order to make it look like they weren't giving much to either.
Doesn't that make you hate the whole bloody lot of them?
Yeah, and then they walk out because of the Speaker. It's a complete circus. Just by the way, we're talking of mob rule. Here's Martin Daubney being egged. Oh, grief. Christian.
It's very important to remember that after all the heat and the shouting, what we saw today was three different parties playing irrelevant party political games to try and score cheap points against each other. You had the SNP wanting to debate a motion that would have made no difference to the conflict to embarrass Labour. You had a Tory party that put down a motion to try and embarrass Labour. And you had Sir Keir Starmer desperately trying to avoid up to 100 MPs rebelling and further front bench resignations. And in doing so, bent the arm of Lindsay Hoyle. Now, I put to you this. Lindsay Hoyle was weak today, and that's not a good thing. But ultimately, it was Labour and Keir Starmer that bullied him into doing this, right? Either they said they used the excuse of we'll get threatened and abused by the way, the same people that used to be supporting them.
Absolutely.
Or they supported entering the country over the last decade. Or they said, at the next election, we'll get rid of you. Because I think ultimately Labour love to claim they play by the rules, but if the rules aren't ones that agree with them, they will change the rules.
Oh, I'm just having something in my ear. Apparently, The Guardian is reporting that 100 Labour MPs were ready to rebel today, apparently.
Well,
and Lindsay Hoyle has basically saved Keir Starmer from that.
That makes it even worse, You know, and what MPs have got to realise is we pay their wages. They're there to represent us. It doesn't matter if they're blue, red, yellow or what party they are. We pay their wages. We pay the speaker's wages. They've got to grow up and start representing us. This is a joke.
I think that's their problem, is that a lot of them are representing a constituency where they feel very strongly that a ceasefire must happen. So they're trying to represent us. They're trying to do their jobs, and they were in an intolerable position themselves.
Labour tried to get the Muslim vote back. That's what they've tried to do.
That's a very, very broad brushstroke way of saying it. And I think to suggest that all Muslims think one way is fairly...
No, I didn't say that, Rebecca. But they've lost a lot of Muslim votes. They're trying to get them back.
I don't think they have lost.
I think it's going to be an incredibly tricky situation going forward.